Reporting in from Sector 11, I'm Devin.
I'm Jan.
And I'm a guy named Rob.
Well, we are here today to discuss, I can't believe I'm even saying this, issues 1 through 3 of the Amory Wars, Good Apollo on Burning Star 4, Volume 2, No World for Tomorrow.
This is exciting. This is
exciting.
fucking crazy right now. I mean, there's so much to talk about in these 3 issues, and I will admit, at first, I was not really happy with the direction that we were going. But I will say that as of issues 2 and 3, that has changed significantly. So I'm really excited where we're heading.
I'll agree. There were a couple of things that happened, and I was very like, But then thinking about it and sitting in it, I'm like, damn, they actually teased this all the way back in Keeping Secrets. But we're here to summarize the first 3 issues of this series, and then we'll talk about some theories, and then we'll talk about some of the merch and the variants that you can collect. If you've been following our socials, you probably have seen that we have updated all of issues 1 through 3 with the Evil Ink variants, which just came out as a subscription bundle, and that includes the Raiders of Silent Earth 3 comic, which Jan and I covered just months ago.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good sign that we're going to get an Ultimate Edition for them to re-release it with the bundle. That's a pretty decent sign that that's going to be an Ultimate.
I think so too. So without further ado, let's get into this because there is so much to talk about. So issue 1 starts off exactly where we left off from Fear Through the Eyes of Madness, and the Red Army truly thinks that they have killed the Crowing. Wilhelm is back in his little chamber, and a white rainbow tears across the sky, and he believes it to be God surrendering. And we know as the audience that their God essentially is actually dead. So we can theorize about what this means every which way from Sunday. But Wilhelm references the black rainbow here and is almost like alpha and omega-ing the 2 signs in the sky. And then he, out of nowhere, quite literally from the wall, pulls out a copy of the Gonsgrad, his personal copy. And we get a little bit more of prophecy here, which is very interesting. And it's also interesting that someone that was so against the prophecy has his own copy. I see you, Wilhelm. So moving forward, Ryan is then informed by a cardinal that Mayo's hollow link is offline. But he begins to explain that there's big news that cannot wait. And we know that it's that the Crowing is dead. So we then shift to Inferno's perspective, or Mayferno rather, since they've connected at the end of From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness. And Inferno truly merges files inside of Mayo. And we see how much the Aeon Star virus has saturated the souls of dead men on the battleground. And this is actually through Mayferno's HUD. So he's looking at these dead men and he sees the souls coming out of them. And instead of being completely blue, they're red and with different percentage levels. This is actually an insane panel. Like if you look through all the numbers and all the little things, there's references to stuff from all across the fence. So this was actually insane to look at. And if you have the backer kit digital downloads, you can really zoom in and read everything. So that's actually really, really interesting and fun to look at. But we do see that Mayferno pockets a grenade from a dead army soldier, because he's dead, red. Anyway. And then he's contacted by Wilhelm Ryan, and Ryan tells him the news that the Crowing is dead. Now, this is Mayferno. This is not just Mayo, Death, and Wolf being told that their enemy is dead. This is Inferno also processing that his pseudo-son, his nephew, someone that he just really opened up with and connected with, is dead. He doesn't know that Claudio isn't dead, but Wilhelm Ryan is so sure of this that you can kind of feel Mayferno's heartbreak a little bit in this panel.
Definitely.
And then we flash to a very interesting scene where Red Army soldiers are transporting Hack and Many to the Arkmaker on Brehoff 2. A random scene. We don't really know much about this planet, about this character, but the iRobots are being transported, and with what Wilhelm Ryan has been up to, this cannot be a good thing. So then we go back to Apti Prime, and Claudio and Chase bury Ambelina. Spoiler alert, she did. But they start talking, and they get really into how God had connected to Chase, how Ryder had connected to Chase, and that connection is kind of severing. Like, she doesn't feel him anymore. And also they're talking about the virus itself and the implications of that. And while they're really getting into it, and you're just like flipping through lore and more lore and more lore, Gibney, also known as the Gunslinger, shows up with the Narrows, and then explosion, boom, the Red Army is there too, and we are left on already issue 1, a major cliffhanger of what the heck is going to happen, because all 3 of the main factions are colliding. Mayferno thinks that Claudio is dead, and the other iRobots that we've come to know and love are now being taken to this new character. So many things have happened, and oh my gosh, that takes us directly into issue 2.
I do want to say, if you actually listen closely as you read that part where he pulls out the Gansgrad, you can hear mine and Jan's brains falling out of our ass to be like, holy fuck, he's opening the fucking book. He has a copy? Crazy.
Well, to be honest, I think he had a copy in SSTB as well. Because I recall that right before he called for Mayo, he had a copy. But the fact that he kept that copy, because I was under the impression that he had gotten that copy from, like, as a like it was confiscated from somebody. So the fact that he kept it, and the fact that we got more of that prophecy, that was very interesting.
I do want to say, I think, and I don't mean to bring this all very, real world Bible, but I do want to say the Bible we know now is King James Version, right? And it's been reinterpreted many, 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 many times. And I will say that I think Wilhelm's Gansgrad looks very, very, very fucking old. So just throwing that out there. That's all I'm saying. We begin with Claudio and Chase being stared down by Crom and Gibney, with Crom requesting that they drop their weapons. Sporting new, angular, mechanical legs. He finally got his fucking legs back. I'm so excited. With a quick reference to Gravemakers and Gunslingers, Gibney and his men fire on Crom and the Red Army, while Claudio and Chase notice a white rainbow scar in the sky. The same one that Wilhelm Ryan had noticed in the previous issue. They decided that they need to escape, but not before Crom throws Gibney to the ground and notices that Claudio is alive. Gibney gets up and averts Crom's shot while Claudio and Chase escape through the Willing Well. Crom says, "You should have let me take the shot," which sends him into a flashback of him speaking to Covent Marth, his master, referencing specifically the events in Year of the Black Rainbow Chapter 2, where Covent Marth and Ryan were meeting, and Crom fires a warning shot, and Deftenwolf also fires a warning shot, and they have a standoff. We discover it was Covent Marth that gave Crom his armor to extend his life, and that Crom was grateful for this. We snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. And Gibney has been subdued and drugged while Crom discovers the burial place of Ambelina. We immediately cut to Brehoff 2 in Artmaker's cybernetic facility, where he is speaking about how he created Deftenwolf's coding, which was a marvel of science at the time. He goes on to explain that he has created WolfCon 4, dubbed the Killer, a new cybernetic creation made to destroy Inferno's iRobots. We see him speak to 3 bodies on separate tables. We see Hack, Manny, and we also see an unknown naked body that I believe to be Sizer.
I believe so too, but we can get into it later.
He notes that the female is immune to the sedation as many duplicates jump out of the table and begin to escape. We cut back to Mayferno, back at base, seeking an audience with Wilhelm Ryan, but being unfamiliar with the area that he's in because he's not
Mayo.
Mayo. And he's acting a bit suspicious by walking in the wrong direction. But we then see Mayferno walk into Wilhelm's bath, holding a grenade behind his back. We smash cut to Claudio and Chase on a piece of floating garbage. Apparently, they believe they are on Dinar based on the storms. And as they escaped, they both wished for safety and wound up there. They start speaking about the white rainbow that they saw in the sky. And Claudia mentions for the first time in ages the black rainbow, specifically about how it freaked everyone out and how some people worshipped it. And at some point, it disappeared one day, out of nowhere. They also speak very briefly about the creator being dead, but then are cut off by a Red Army ship flying overhead and the Grail Arbor exiting the ocean, which places us in the realm of time travel. Specifically, in Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3, Issue 3. At the end of that chapter, we see the Grail Arbor escaping out of the waters of Dinar after engaging the Red Army with the Dragons of Dinar, their bioships. And that's it for this issue.
Oh boy. So, issue 3, we start off in that very same scene. It's a direct continuation where they're both like, this is really weird. Like, this is exactly like we were trying to look for safety, and they both realized that that was the last moment that they both felt safe, like they had family, like they belonged. And they realized that maybe this is like it could, like they theorized, could this be assimilation? Could this be like something, something, maybe it's an illusion or something? But they also then remember about how Ryder had them in the Willing Well before, and he made like Paris appear and the fire and everything. And so they theorize, okay, maybe this is actually something that we can use as like a tool. And so they're like, okay, so how can we like make this work? And they decide they're going to kill Hitler. I mean, Ryan. and instead, they decide to go back to the day that he was born. And they're like, yeah, but what about like time paradoxes? So they're trying to theorize. And as they're doing this, like Red Army soldiers are coming in, and they're like, bombs are dropping, like stuff is like falling all around them. And they're like, you know what? We just gotta do it. Like we just gotta try. So sure enough, Chase is able to, by her will, summon the Willing Well again, and they jump through it. But then we never see what happens to them because we cut over to Brehoff 2 again, where Minnie is having like a Willy Wonka day, like causing all sorts of mischief and mayhem. And the scientists are trying to capture her because if they don't have all of her pieces, then they can't do what they need to do on her, which is obviously some kind of experiment. We also see that Arcmaker not only has the iRobots, but he also has Al the Killer. And he has basically dubbed him to be the WolfCon for specifically the WolfCon 4 unit. Then we cut over again to like a scene of like all of like different areas of the fence being totally overrun by the Aeon Star virus and the dragonflies everywhere. And people are running, and it's mischief and mayhem all over. And then we cut back to House Atlantic with Mayferno in Ryan's bath chamber. And Ryan is like, what took you so long? And he kind of like bullshits his way through it, right? And then Ryan has like this moment where he's like, what do you think of God? Like, tell me what you think of him. And then he talks about like how he wanted ultimate power and how this is what he thought ultimate power was like. But then it turns out that like, no, ultimate power is having power over the dead, is having power in the afterlife, not just in this life. And Mayo, as he is about to detonate the grenade, realizes that Ryan has a much deeper plan than he thought initially, and pulls back. And at the last minute, recants that, puts it behind him so that he doesn't see anything, and listens a little bit further to Ryan's plan. But Ryan doesn't give him too much So he waits. Then we cut back over to the scientists, and again, they are having trouble finding many parts, but they think they found all of them. So they decide that they're going to inject her with a kind of serum, but they're like, no, let's do it on the Wolf Contour, on Al the Killer. And that's why his code name is the Killer. And so he looks like this souped up, jacked up, weird, like Bane-like character almost. And then lastly, we cut to House Atlantic with Crom and his Red Soldiers returning to base, and a blue hand sticking out of a tarp, a red tarp. So it is clear, in addition to, of course, Gibney as well. So so it's pretty clear that they sadly dug up Ambelina's body and are bringing her back to House Atlantic and Ryan as well. And that is where the issue ends. Oh boy.
So it reads that Wilhelm Ryan wants to merge with the Keywork, right?
Yes.
Like that seems to be maybe not the complete end goal, but like maybe one of the main parts of his plan. So I'm wondering if he needs Ambelina, who is comprised of Keywork energy, in order to help him do this. There's so many different things. Al the Killer returning, right? At first I was like, oh, this seems kind of cheap. Like this character died and they should be dead. But then you realize the whole series is about bringing back people from the dead, even if you go all the way back to second stage when Claudio picks up his sister and just for a very brief moment, Josephine is able to come back, right? That's been a recurring theme. And now the fact that Wilhelm Ryan is able to master it and make the dead work for him. I mean, there's the dead reanimating, helping him, and then the spiritual entities helping him. He is going to have control over every single element of everyone in Heaven's Fence.
I do want to say just an interesting point of clarity that I don't think was really brought up in the comic, but in that particular instance in Keeping Secrets, there are prize fighting underwater that we don't know what happened to them. We don't know if they went along on the ship or not. All we know is that they did fight and destroy ships underwater while the Grail Arbor escaped. So interesting. I don't know.
Definitely a good point.
I feel like there's so much here as far as like theorizing goes. There's so much, specifically relating to certain descriptions that have already been released. First and foremost, the thing that's caught me off guard most about all this is Crom, right? Crom being a secret good guy has been one of our most like famous theories that we've put out. And if anything, and excuse my terminology, but it's got legs, that theory, okay? It's something else, that one. And we're getting more and more of You're the Black Rainbow, more than I ever expected to see in the Amory Wars. I thought it was just going to be a blip, it's not important, whatever. But the moment I saw Hohenberger listed as the master disc for Inferno, I was like, oh shit, they're actually like caring. That's crazy. I know that sounds crazy, but you know what I mean. Like they're really going deep for people who know the whole story.
Right, like because you see these Marvel movies and they're just like, hey, remember this like thing that happened and it was really cool like 5 years ago? Remember it? Yeah, okay, here's that reference. This is like, okay, there's a reason for this reference and it's kind of subtle and it's not just in your face member berries. It's like, here's some tact behind the characters and the references that we're adding in. If they stick this landing, this might be the best of the 4 comic series that we have.
Okay, so first of all, we have to remember that several times Claudio and Chandra posted stacks of all of the books with tons
Of
little
annotations.
sticky notes. They have scoured the lore. They know what they're doing. I think this is going to be the most epic conclusion of probably any comic series. I mean, it's just so well thought out, and these 3 issues have been bangers. Like, holy moly. The first issue was a little bit of whiplash for me because, like, we were literally bouncing around from scene to scene and new characters and all this stuff. And it was like,
Yep.
holy crap, like, what is going on? But it was exciting. And the second issue was also like really, really good. It really picked up right where you left off. You were like on your toes. And the last issue blew my goddamn mind. um, so I am just so excited for these issues to come out because we are really, oh my God, like I cannot wait. I cannot wait to find out what Ryan, because this was something that we always wondered. What did Ryan do to Crom to change him? He was so fucking loyal to Covert Marth. We were like, there has to be something. There has to be something that he has over him, or he brainwashed him, or he programmed him somehow. There has to be something. And that scene in issue 2 with the flashback, oh my God. I was like, yes, I was screaming. It was what an amazing, amazing situation. Like, and to see even just the back of Covert Mart's head, I was beside myself. It's amazing. I can't wait. It's so good. There's definitely a lot here.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the thing is that we're being introduced to, I would say, a mechanic. We're being introduced to something that's been seen before in the form of this white rainbow in the sky. That is so fucking significant. That it is beyond the Willingwell remaining in the story. It's something bigger than that, I think. The white rainbow, I believe, and I also believe the black rainbow, to be a mode of transportation specifically for the Willingwell. I think that we are able to travel back and forth because of those things. I think it's important enough to this whole time travel thing that's going on.
If that's the case, then are you implying that that wasn't a factor, that wasn't possible until the Black Rainbow? Because the Willingwell we only found out about in Good Apollo 1, and the Black Rainbow is the opposite of the White Rainbow.
I would argue the Black Rainbow is someone using the Willingwell and using the destination of that time period
interesting.
as the exit. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand what you mean. Like the black is somebody coming into the Amory Wars.
Yeah.
Whereas the white is somebody leaving.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we know that it showed up after the writer left. After Ryder left this reality, we got a white rainbow. That's all I'm saying.
So here's something for you. The white rainbow, to me, when I saw it, represented the death of God, right? The death of Ryder. Their universe, while they have their own autonomy now, is being ripped apart, right? White, a void. So eventually I think that's going to encapsulate everything. It's going to wipe everything out. However, I kind of like the idea that it's a method of transportation. What if that's a tear in the universe that they're able to go through? And the black rainbow looks very, very similar to the Willingwell itself. They can pull everybody back in time and stop Wilhelm Ryan in the past, hence the black rainbow. We don't really know how it started, where it went.
That's what I'm saying. I think that Claudio and Chase are going back in time to stop Ryan, and when they do, they end up making the Black Rainbow.
Right, but that's how they save everyone, is what I'm thinking.
Sure.
Okay, so here's another thing, right? And I think I'm picking up what you're throwing down, but one of the things that was also kind of interesting is what actually happened to the original Sector 6 governing mage. They say that he died of old age, but did he really die of old age? Like, we don't actually know because we've never met him. But what was interesting about that theory specifically is I think that what we're going to do is, you know how Mariah was just a normal looking human before because she didn't go through the the
The
process,
trial
right?
of the grasses, yeah.
Right. So I think that what we're going to do is I think Claudio and Chase are going to go back to while Sector 6, like we're going back to the year of the Black Rainbow because we had no choice because that is Ryan's essentially his origin story. So we are going to learn about Ryan's origin. And I think that that's going to be the key about how to either defeat him or how the Black Rainbow did come to be. And if it has to do with time travel specifically, that seems very likely. Very likely. So that is really interesting. Really interesting. That also makes me wonder what is Ryder's connection to, because Ryder is the one who exited, right? Like he died and thus
Yep.
exited and thus the white one appeared. So what does that mean exactly? There's definitely something there. It's okay. Go ahead, Devin.
Okay, so like that kind of fucks me up because Ryder is gone and Vaxis exists. So like this arc is very centered around like the death of God and what happens to these characters and these worlds that we know
When God dies. Yeah.
when he dies. But if a new universe is created, like I, the, does the prophecy
I think you're also
right? Like that's that like how because this has to connect somehow. We're getting Prize, we're getting
right.
Cyrus Amory. Like, oh, how are they going to have that connect? And maybe I really don't know.
So I think that the kicker here is whether or not Ryder was actually God. This is still something that I am just not sure about because it seems very coincidental the way in which he has a connection to Claudio, right? But a connection to somebody where you think you know somebody really, really well is not the same thing as having control over them. And I think that I've just always been a little unsure about whether or not Ryder was really the god of that universe. And it also makes me wonder what was 10 speed? Was 10 speed the god actually? Or some god like mirror, like the other side of the god coin? Was 10 speed just a figment of his imagination? Like where did he go? What did he do? And so I I don't know about I don't know if I'm on board with Ryder 100% for sure being the god.
I think my thing is like how much influence did Ryder have? Was Ryder writing from the Afterman? Like did Ryder create Cyrus Amory? Did Ryder create the Mage Wars? So has everything been in his influence from the beginning? And these are questions I didn't have until No World came out. So it's recontextualizing all of the things that we have already had and also kind of trying to lay the ground for the things that we have coming forward. This arc is arguably the most important in tying everything together because it truly is the missing piece to the puzzle. And if we know anything from Coheed lyrics, because you're missing the best part. So I'm very excited to see what happens.
I do want to say, as far as theories and things go, it would be remiss to not mention Wilhelm Ryan's goal of trying to become one with the keywork energy, whatever. Sounds extremely similar to Vaxis and Mr. Wish.
Yeah, being a window means that you're connected to the entirety of that network, right? So
Fully.
yeah, that is very similar in that regard. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Well, but then you also have the factions of Boss Candelaria, who wants blood for eternal youth, essentially, and then you have Haas that wants to live forever in their own regards. Like there's so many parallels between the Amory Wars arc and the Faxis arc,
and also Afterman, because wouldn't you say Cyrus Amory is the first to be possessed by entities, to have the entities move through him?
It's really difficult to say what is truly influenced by Ryder and what is the free will of the characters at any point in this saga until now, I guess.
And it's important to note too, especially in Jan's chapter in chapter 3, we actually see a camp very similar to Cyrevity still being used, We're seeing these souls that are being reaped. Oh, he heard the reaping and started snapping. He was like, hell yeah. But no, it's beyond a power source now, and there's just so much going on. And also, I just want to put this out there. As far as color scheme goes, we see the white rainbow that is technically blue and now has a hint of yellow. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is the idea of maybe this is like the Samartane. Maybe this is pure Keywork energy. You know what I mean? Like, what if this is some real shit? Like,
that's also an influence that we haven't really considered. There's another level to the Keywork that maybe Ryan at this point still doesn't know about. So, like, Evagria was able to step in and stop things happening to Cyrus. Who's not to say that the other X amount of souls in the Samaritan can influence Ryan once I mean, it almost seems like if Ryan were to complete his plan, there's a failsafe, almost akin to Josephine.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So it just makes me think of Mother Superior, like, because Mother Superior just is such a it just seems like it has to be Claudio in the Keywork, which he has already proven he can do and he can survive it. And he gets to have that like look beyond the Samaritan, where he either gets to meet Josephine or gets to meet Cambria or maybe all of his family, who knows. And I think that they are going to have the answer for him. They are going to bring down the Keywork. They have to. I mean, it's got to be what the Great Crash is, right? But like, even if it isn't, it just makes sense to free those souls. He has to destroy the Keywork. So it does seem very likely that that is the direction that we're going to head in. And it's going to blow my mind. I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but whatever it is going to blow my mind.
I do want to read now. The upcoming chapter has 2 descriptions. I don't know if you've read these at all, Jan.
I actually haven't, but it's okay. We can go ahead and read them. That's fine. It's coming out soon.
In the 4th thrilling issue of the epic return and conclusion of the Amory Wars, Chase and Claudio learn secrets of the Mage War. Hidden truth from the past not told in history books. Meanwhile, grim tidings and monstrous battles ensue, and renegade efforts will cause a disruption like no other. And then there's another one. This one is the more detailed one that I'm very excited about. As the epic conclusion to the Amory Wars nears its midpoint after the true identity of Wolfcon 4 is revealed, and battle ensues with Sizer, with the promises of new allies as the spoils of victory, while elsewhere, Wilhelm Ryan and Admiral Weiler Krumm journey through the present, as well as memories of the past. Meanwhile, Claudio and Chase find themselves in the past via the Willingwell, witnessing an all too familiar scene from Claudio's past, as they search for new revelations of Wilhelm Ryan's origins.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You want to know? You want to know what I'm most excited for?
The Mage War.
Well, yes, definitely. I'm sure you guys saw me squeal, but I want a map. I still want a map. Damn it! Give me a map. Tell me who's in the northern quadrant and the western region and the eastern region. I want to know.
So true. I do want to say this line about Claudio and Chase find themselves in the past via the Willingwell, witnessing an all too familiar scene from Claudio's past. And here's the thing. We were talking about Josephine a second ago. What if they end up there in the moment that Josephine is killed and then resurrected by Claudio? But Claudio...
I think it has to be.
I think Claudio's Dark Night of the Soul moment for this is the fact that he can't save anyone. That he will witness these tragic things again, but he cannot change anything that's happened thus far.
We're also talking about going back into the past, and it's theorized that Feathers is about Nuo. Now, hide your feathers. What if that's literal? What if that is literally meaning the wings of the prize? Mariah is part mage.
Yeah.
We didn't know. You couldn't tell by looking at her that she's part mage.
She's actually, her race is listed as mage.
Yeah.
So what if we could? What if that same logic applies to someone who maybe is part keyword energy?
How about someone who's rumored to have prize DNA?
Are we thinking about Cambria here?
I'm thinking about Chase.
Definitely
Because
could be.
Chase
don't
was
know where-
one. Her
Yeah.
her donorship was never really revealed.
Well, Inferno, part of it is Inferno for sure, but it could
Yeah.
very well be mixed with other people.
For sure. And Cambria the same. I think Cambria was based on rumored to be prize.
Devin and I were having this conversation the last time when we did the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Raiders of Silent Earth 3 issue, because the prize provided the DNA for Cambria, but we don't know who actually, where did that DNA actually come from? Was it from a prize? Was it from somebody that the prize knew?
Was it from Mariah,
somebody
who lived in Star 4?
We genuinely don't know. Actually, if
Yeah.
it was Mariah, that was extra weird, but just because of the implications later. But
Yeah.
well, because he was making iRobots prior to Mariah dying, for sure. But
yeah,
he
Longsindia.
didn't make Chase and Sizer until she had died. So
True.
It's definitely kind of a gray zone there.
Is okay, so you bring up Longsindia. Is that canon? Are we agreeing that the Bag Online Adventures is canon?
No.
I am saying the name is not canon, but the event is canon.
So two things. Longsindia was also in the original graphic novel.
In Good Apollo, is that what you're talking about?
In Good Apollo's graphic novel, yes. Second,
but that's also not canon.
Well, I know that, but technically, the iRobot track, which depicts Longsindia's downfall, if we shall we say, is on the album, and I would say that's canon enough for me.
And it is the driving factor of introducing Chase, is that she's upset over Longsindia, or whoever you want to call them, being destroyed.
The prototype.
Yeah,
right?
the prototype.
It's the prototype. Yeah.
But it is Longsindia.
Yeah.
So to kind of round out our theory talk, where do you think that this series is going to go? Final thoughts on our theories.
I think we are definitely going to find out how Wilhelm Ryan really came to be. I think we might even find out whether or not he's an actual fraud, i.e. whether or not his tri-mage powers are legit, or whether or not it's all smoke and mirrors like we've seen throughout the series. A lot of his shit tends to just be smoke and mirrors. So I think we're going to find that out for real. I think Claudio is definitely going into the keywork. I don't know who he's going to meet. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know he's going to go in, and I know he's going to talk to some people, and that's going to be pretty cool. It would actually be even cool if he ended up talking to Amory, right? The final track of No World for Tomorrow says, "So long, Amory, drive me home," right? So I don't know, man. I don't know, but he's going in that keywork. He's getting in there. I think those are the two big things. And those are definitely the things I'm most excited to see.
All right, let's pack this. Let's pack this up, for me at least. There's a couple things I'm certain of that are going to happen, 100%, beyond a shadow of a doubt in my mind. Okay, number one, top of my list, 1,000%. This will happen, and it will happen this way. I believe Claudio will travel back in time to sitting outside of Nuo's house as he retold the story and in Keeping Secrets. And I think Feathers is about him realizing that his relationship with Ambelina was more important than him going back to have closure with Nuo, that he was able to move forward in his life. And I think that revisiting the Nuo thing and choosing not to go talk to her is a big moment for him. Realizing that Ambelina was the biggest part of his life and that this was just him being whiny. That, number one. Number two, I am certain that the latter half of this album takes place in the Keywork. Specifically because of one of the only known things we have for when it comes to story and recording the album. Claudio said while recording the Incomplete 3, the Incomplete, he said that the line "God is not here," that whole thing, that whole area of that song, it's sung from the perspective of creatures that he likened to Cenobites. And Cenobites were these demons / angels, demons to some, angels to others, who guarded heaven and hell, and were kind of like the guarding souls. Okay, and I think that is going to be very important. I think your idea with Amory being the person, Drive Me Home One Last Time, is really interesting because it could be Amory ushering Claudio into the Keywork to die. That aside, I think that I will stand by one other thing, and this is the last point, and it's so dumb, but I believe it. I think that the Curse of the Radio Bye-Bye, that whole title, the idea of it is that when someone tells you goodbye on the radio, you can't stop them. You can't physically stop them from doing anything. And I think the curse of that is the fact that you can't stop someone. So I think Claudio makes a big choice there. And the curse is the fact that Chase and no one else can stop him doing what he's about to do because they're too far. So that's my theories. That's what I think is going to happen. Obviously, we're going to see Covent Marth. And if we're lucky, I want to see some fucking Leonard Hohenberger in a comic.
We have seen Leonard in a comic before, if you go all the way back to Second Stage. I'm not sure if it was in the original Bag Online, but we have seen him before, which is really funny because he really does not look like Inferno. And
not at all.
And You're the Black Rainbow, they're strikingly similar. And he's like, not at all. He's what I imagine Cyrus Amory to look like, but then we get the music videos. Anyway, that is a different topic. With all of that being said, I'm so glad that we were able to summarize issues 1 through 3 and then also have our theories. But we did leave out one important thing, and that's for my collectors out there. We have some variant talk. There's a lot for this. But first off...
Wait, Devin, you don't have any theories or anything that you want to address? What are you excited to see?
So here's the thing. Whenever we get movies, TV shows, comic books that are like, this is what happened in the past, we're doing a flashback, like in Keeping Secrets, I know that Claudio is going to make it to the end of this series because he's telling us the story of In Keeping Secrets. For me, all of the Amory Wars thus far, from Afterman, You're the Black Rainbow, Second Stage, In Keeping, Good Apollo 1, Good Apollo 2, is all setting the stage for Faxis. And that's where we are presently. So I want to know, and I hope that we see, and I'm sure that we will, how that all connects to Vaxis. Because as much as I love Claudio and I love this arc, and it means so much to everyone listening, I imagine, this is not the end of the influence of these characters. And whether Claudio lives or dies, has a happy ending or a tragic ending, it matters to a fault because we have the Vaxis arc to look forward to. So really, I'm just interested to see how that interweaves into each other. And I'm truly, I truly believe that Claudio is going to have to perish, but in doing so, he's going to save everyone. That's the most heroic thing that he could do. And with so far, everything seems to be self-preservation. And now that he has to deal with the loss of Ambelina, someone that he loves aside from his biological family, someone that he has chosen to love. We'll just have to see how that plays out.
He becomes the brain in the House of the Star Supremacy. You know what I'm talking about? The little brain guy.
I want to know. There's so many, I don't know. This kind of feels like we're talking about the past right now,
Yeah.
even though I don't have all the information. Where the Vaxis is the future and the present. But
I think you're right. I think it's going to tie in. I think it's going to tie in really well.
Right, because all of this, as we know, is an allegory or representation of Claudio's own life. So for it to not connect wouldn't make any sense. Because at its core, from the writer, the actual Claudio Sanchez IRL, not writer, is writing from a place of actuality and real life. And speaking of actually writing, we do have the personnel for Good
Oh,
Apollo.
shit. Yeah.
Volume 2, No World for Tomorrow. It is written by Claudio Sanchez and Chandra Eckert, illustrated by Guillermo Martinez, colored by Valentina Biancani, and lettered by Taylor Esposito of Ghost Glyph Studios. Now, we got some variants. As I said earlier, if you've been following us on our socials, we've updated all of the variant list through issues 1 through 3, so you can see exactly what covers exist, the names of the covers, cover 1A, all the way to the Boom Direct Reserve or the Signing Tour variant. So we have variant covers by Jonathan Wayshak, Marco Mastrazo, Tula Lotte, Ricardo Latina and Valentina Bianconi, Gianluca Gugliotta, Tula Lotte, and Rags Morales for those Evil Ink covers. For designer, we have Grace Park, editor Chantel Larocque, and then director of operations, Mr. Blaze James. And that was all the variants for issue 1. For issue 2, we have Gianluca Gugliotta, Jonathan Wayshak, Dan Mora, Ricardo Latina, and Valentina Bianconi. Rags Morales with colors by Haley Renee. And that takes us directly into issue 3, where we also have covers by Gianluca Gugliotta, Jonathan Wayshak, Maria Wolf, and Mike Spicer, Ricardo Latina and Valentina Bianconi, and Rags Morales with Haley Renee. So for issues 1, 2, and 3, you have variants 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. Issue 1 has a couple more variants, but all of those are retail. So please go support your local comic book store. There's a local comic book store locator online that we will put in our socials. But please, 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 please go support them. In addition, you can also pre-order the Evil Ink subscription. Honestly, it's an incredible price. You get all 12 issues of No World for Tomorrow, plus the bonus variant of Raiders of Silent Earth 3 for about $160. When you do the math, I mean, you're paying less than $15 for variant covers. That's almost unheard of with shipped, which is just crazy. So please look into that if you're looking to collect the entire saga on the single issues. And if you haven't read Raiders, not only do Jan and I have the episode, but what a great way to support Evil Ink Comics and get that comic for yourself. A nice little treat. That being said, Rob, since this is technically a new podcast, I have to ask you the questions that we ask every podcast guest. How did you get into Coheed? What are your top 3 favorite songs?
I got into Coheed because I had a buddy of mine who had the Good Apollo comic that he got from Hot Topic, the original, graphic novel. And he also has both Bag Online Adventures signed by Claudio. But he didn't really get into the story at all, which is like really crazy. And then they were coming out with No World, the album. And I was like, I hopped on that fucking bus. And it's been, it's been true love ever since. Top 3 Coheed tracks. What an interesting conundrum to be in. I'm gonna say something crazy. Love Murder 1. I loved Love Murder 1. Fantastic song. I've been spinning it a lot lately. I would say The Light in the Glass. Godsend Conspirator. None of those songs are on my favorite album, which is Good Apollo.
I mean, listen, that's the beauty of being a Coheed fan. Last but not least, guys, where can we find you? What are your socials? Do you have anything coming up that you would like to promote? Anything like that? Take it away.
I'm not anywhere. I am off social media. I'm not on Twitter. I am on Instagram with no posts. So if you want to add me on there, fucking feel free. I'm on Facebook. If you want to be my friend, I hang out in Indianapolis with other Coheed fans sometimes. I did that the other day. That was really fun. I'm being featured as a guest on an upcoming episode of Secondhand Reactions, which is a reaction channel that just got through all 5 acts of The Deer Hunter. So I'm going to be a guest on there as like kind of the lore guy there. So please check them out. And Jan, what about you? You have anything you want to plug?
The only thing I ever plug when I'm on here, which is the Gonsbrad Wiki. It's my labor of love, and I am slowly but surely still editing it. I just recently moved about 120 miles from my original home, so things are a little bit crazy for me right now. As you both know, I am literally recording from the airport. So, things are a little bit hectic, but I promise I will be getting back into fleshing out some of those pages. I am keeping up the comic page for No World for Tomorrow very, very, very promptly. So if you have questions about stuff that happened in the issues, if you can't get your hands on it and you just want to kind of get a little summary of it, that page is being very well kept. And I'm keeping track of the variants on there as well with links to the artists. So if you find one that catches your eye, you can take a look at the art over there as well. Yeah, so definitely check out the Gonsgrad Wiki. One of the best things about it is that you can find information about the songs and how they connect to the story as we currently know it. Of course, No World for Tomorrow songs are a little bit iffy right now because the comics are coming out and things are changing, but yeah, I will be updating those as well as we go, as we get more information. So yeah, check that out. That's my labor of love.
Hell yeah.
And last but not least, we have the Goddardam Gazette socials, of course, GD Gazette on X or Twitter, and then Goddardam Gazette as normal on Facebook and Instagram. We also have the Discord, which Rob so lovingly helped create. And there you will find the giveaway for this episode, which is a pin, a Weiler Crom pin, nonetheless. Since we've talked about him so much, we figured might as well let him be a part of your apparel. So head to our giveaways section of our Discord where you can enter to win. And we hope to see you there for some theory talk and everything else. As always, thank you for listening. I'm Devin.
I'm Jan.
And I'm a guy named Rob.
Over and out, Connecticut. We'll see you next time. This has been the Goddardam Gazette. Yeah, just it's the Goddardam Gazette Discord. Say like you help build it, and it's really cool, and you can share theories, and there's people share the covers, and there's giveaways, and you got it.
Actually, Devin, go ahead and edit that in over me talking, and I think it'll go really well. Go to the Discord because of all the things Devin just said.
Cool.
God, you've fallen apart without me.
Over out. Over out.
Over out.
It says you're still in the Discord call, so you might have to hang up on Discord.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
we've got you.
I'm all scatterbrained today.
It's all good. It's all good. So wait, do you have like a layover right now?
Yeah.
How long's your layover?
We board again at 7:15.
What time? Oh, it's 6 there now, right?
6:00. Yeah.
If we keep our summaries, we
Mhm.
have more time for theories.
I'm
So,
looking at a page, but all right, man. Whatever.
Yeah, we could do it. We could do it.
sidebar, Rob, I love the Chaperone shirt. That's actually kind of insane.
Oh, have you not seen this? It's the Legend of Zelda.
That's
It's
pretty cool.
the Great Fairy Chaperone.
Is that official Chapel merch?
No, found it on TikTok.shop.
Like that's crazy. Okay,
And I got the same one for Blue. We have matching shirts. Anyway.
Nice.
that's fire.
Bloopers.
Well, I know what's getting cut from that episode.
No, it's true. Fucking put it at the top of the episode.
Oh my
That
god.
has to go in the bloopers. That was so funny.
Sorry. You know he loves a good chopped cheese.
And signing off from Sector 11.
Tea is done.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Please do that again, and please do it nice.
You're editing this? Shit. Hang on.
Rob is a chaos gremlin.
I really am. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I don't know what I don't know what overtook me there.